I was listening to. Like that beat, man. That beat hard, isn't it? Make sure you share the stream. Make sure you show about that. I run the stream, man. Let's go ahead and pause this real quick. All right, guys. We're going to be doing some live bad cop news stories. Live news stories. It's going to be something new I'm going to be doing. I'm going to have a little fun, man. You know, have a little fun with it. Because the way I see it, man, I believe I should be able to bring you guys news live, you know? If I'm really good at what I do. All right. Let me go ahead and share that everywhere I got, man. Because see, here's the thing, man. I really want to focus on doing more live content. Because the way I see it, here's my Twitter, by the way, my Twitter, ACAB Devil on Twitter. I'm on all the social medias, all the pages. I'm on all the pages, all right? So make sure you guys follow me. Make sure you guys give me some love, show me some love, because we're going to be doing the news live. We're going to be having a little bit of fun here today. So today we're going to be having a lot of discussions, and the discussions are going to be mostly centered around bad cops. Now, let's get into the video. Let's get into the content. All right, so this is coming from Boston.com. New report finds that former Methuen police chief should face criminal charges in a textbook case of public corruption. Former city councilor who was close ally of ex-chief Joseph Solomon charged with felonies. Man, oh man. So Blue Lives Matter, they're having a rough time. They're having a really rough time. They are, listen, baby. Let me tell you something. Blue Lives Matter, man. They are having a rough go at it right now. A really rough go at it. Because when it comes to corruption, when it comes to, you know, just general silliness, Blue Lives Matter, they've been suffering a lot. So we're going to go over this particular story. I want to make sure I share this story out so that everybody can see it. I want everybody to enjoy the content that I put out here. Because the thing is, I want to have a long-form content day in which I just have fun, in which I just enjoy myself, because I want to expose police officers for the trash that they are. You know, people don't seem to realize that I've been doing this for a long time. I've been proving my case against police officers for a long time. And the thing that I find to be the most fascinating when people don't seem to believe that. It's when people want to test me. And that's fine, because we're going to get into the story today. We're going to go ahead and get into it now. Let's get into the nitty gritty. New report finds former Methuen police chief should face criminal charges in a textbook case of public corruption. So make sure you guys leave some likes. Make sure you share the stream with everybody you know. Share the stream with the bootlickers out there. Joseph Solomon ran the Methuen Police Department like a don of an organized crime family, relying on humiliation, fear, intimidation, and retaliation, according to a new city-funded investigation that found the former chief repeatedly broke the law during his 15-year tenure. 15 years, this guy was a criminal. But Blue Lives Matter loves to tell you about how heroic their police officers are. Well, if that's the chief, right? Then what was the condition of the average rank and file police officer if the chief is a textbook criminal? And that's not according to me or ACAB Devil or Father ACAB or the ACAB movement or the 1312 movement or the 1312 pig haters. We are not responsible for that. It's the city who hired a private investigation. They ordered a private investigation, and they found that this guy's a criminal. Now, that's not on me. That's not my fault. You can't put that on me. You got to put that on him, right? What you can't do is put that on me. You got to put it on him. So let's have a brief conversation about that, right? So I got to know something, right? Blue Lives Matter. I got to know something. Why is it that when stories like this come out, do I never hear you speak about it? Why is it that whenever stories like this come out, you know, I just want to know, are you afraid to face your own corruption? I gotta know this. Are you afraid to face your own corruption, Blue Lives Matter? Because when I see stories like this, it tells me something. It tells me this was going on for a long time. And that the reason why this was never addressed is because people don't want to be honest about the status of police officers. This guy was running his police department like a mafia boss. Solomon, who earned $326,707 in 2019, making him one of the highest paid law enforcement officials in the U.S., should face criminal charges for his alleged misconduct, which included hiring a city councilor who was unqualified to be a police officer, according to a 204-page report. So this guy was a criminal. He would just routinely ignore the law and even hire officers who should not be police officers, and yet Blue Lives Matter will never speak about this guy. They won't speak about the continuing exposed corruption. Right? On Thursday, police said they obtained an arrest warrant for the former city council chairman as Solomon hired as a police officer, Sean Fountain. They said that he should face 8 charges, including forgery, conspiracy, and public corruption. He is expected to be arraigned Thursday afternoon. The report found that Solomon hired Fountain even though he met virtually none of the requirements to be a police officer. He lived outside the city. He was too old. He didn't take a civil service test. He didn't graduate from a police academy and had been arrested for domestic violence. So basically, this guy should have never been anywhere near a woman or a child or a daycare or a school, much less be a police officer. Solomon's efforts to, it's a quote from somebody, quote, Solomon's efforts to hire Fountain as a full-time police officer might have characterized as grossly negligent were not known that the efforts were also purposeful. Wow. Lawrence Smith of the Stern Group. That's who they hired to do the investigation. He also says, quote, there is no innocent explanation for what occurred here. Pure and simple. It's a textbook case of public corruption, end quote. So basically, you have a police chief here who not only breaks the law and ignores the law. This guy hires police officers who had been arrested for domestic violence. Wow. That is it. Blue Lives Matter. That's what I call heroic. That's what I call heroic. I think that officer is a hero. According to Blue Lives Matter. According to their particular standard. I believe that officer is a hero. By their own standard. Yes, vegan villain says, I believe the average cop weighs 250 pounds with a 50% body fat. I do think so too, because the thing about it is that, there's actually a study with that. And I might actually go over that. Because you said that, vegan villain. In fact, you know what? I want to Google that real quick because a lot of people don't know police officers are very overweight for their particular profession. So, FBI police overweight profession. I know the FBI made a statement about that. Yes, CBS News. Here we go. FBI, 80% of police officers are overweight. According to the FBI, 80% of police officers are overweight. Oh, God. So, man, oh, man. Listen, man, those Krispy Kreme donuts, man, they are getting these police officers, baby. Listen, how in the world is it that you are in charge? How are you in charge of chasing down criminals, right? When if the criminal just has a somewhat steady heartbeat, they can get away from you. Oh my God. Bucket Mandan says, I love your page. I love you too. I love you, the fans. Absolutely. I want you guys to see this content though. So this guy, I want you to see this, right? So according to CBS News, according to the FBI, 80% of police officers are overweight. The U.S. Federal Bureau of Investigation released a new stat which states 8 out of every 10 law enforcement officers are overweight. Their findings have spurred the Garland Police Department to make a plan for their officers to improve their fitness. This is back from 2014, right? Life Motivated 415 says, great page, great content. Thank you very much. Much love to you. Love you so much. So police officers are extremely overweight. This is according to the FBI. I'm not just making it up, right? I'm not making it up. So, quote, this is from the Garland Assistant Police Chief, who's Jeff Bryant at that time. He says, quote, I think it's important for all of us to keep the weight down and stay in shape, especially this job. The stress that we incur at this job is a great way to relieve the stress and keep the blood pressure down, end quote. Man, oh man, listen, Blue Lives Matter. Blue Lives Matter. 80% of officers are overweight. Of all police officers in the U.S., 8 out of 10 of them are overweight. How are you chasing criminals? Look, listen, criminals only have to have a slight light jog and a somewhat reasonable heart rate, and they can escape any police officer. Because police officers are just overweight, just on a level that you will not believe. Researchers, right, said that law enforcement personnel are 25 times more likely to pass away from weight-related cardiovascular disease than actions of a criminal. So it is more likely that a cop will eat themselves to death than I or anyone else would ever hurt them. It is more likely that a cop will literally eat themselves into an early grave before they ever got to worry about a shootout. It is more likely that a cop will literally eat so much donuts that he literally eats himself into the cemetery before some member of the Crips, the Bloods, MS-13, or anybody else would ever ever harm them. It is more likely that an apple fritter that cops eat every day, that they get discounts on, it is more likely that will take them out before I or any member of the 1312 movement or the ACAB movement ever will. Right? Right? But an estimated 80% of law enforcement officers are overweight according to the FBI. 80%. 80%. 80%. Y'all. They not pigs. They hungry hippos. Oh, Lord. Life Motivates has great page, great content. Apple user 1 billion. Hey, I'm late. What happened? Oh, nothing. I'm going in on cops. I'm roasting cops, baby. I'm making them a meme right now. Absolutely. How is it that you want to tell me that you are a hero when you couldn't even fit in Superman's tights? Oh, Lord. How can you be a hero, right? If you try to put on a superhero costume, your freaking love handles all freaking bulging out. Cops are not heroes. They are pigs. And as you can see, 80% of them have the constitution of a freaking pig. So you can't ask me why do I call them pigs when they're gonna look when they are literally built like bullets. They are built like hand grenades. They are built like swine. They're built like hogs. They're built like boars. They're built like pigs. All right? You can't ask for that question when you got facts out there put out there by the FBI. The FBI. Oh my God. But back to this story here. Let's go back up here. So, this police chief, Joseph Solomon, he was hiring police officers who have no experience as police officers, and he hired someone who had been arrested for domestic violence. Stuff like that. Just flat out criminal behavior. There's people who are arrested for domestic violence can't even legally own a gun, and you made that guy a cop, and he was too old on top of that because you wanted to go take care of a friend. Wow. So you put a domestic abuser on the streets with a badge to endanger all of our safety. Woo. Blue Lives Matter, man. Y'all taking L's, man. Hard L's. Just hard L's. Hard L's. Let's get into this story here. Omaha City Councilman, former police officers accused of corruption. Let's get into this story. So it's from Lincoln, Nebraska. An Omaha City Councilman, 2 former police officers, and a Council Bluffs, Iowa man are facing several corruption charges. The U.S. Attorney's Office released 2 related indictments on Friday for the 4 men. Vincent Palermo, Johnny Palermo, Richard Gonzalez, and Jack Olson. All 4 men were arrested Friday morning. So in the first indictment, authorities accused Johnny Palermo, Gonzalez, and Olson of defrauding donors of the Latino Peace Officers Association. So basically, they were stealing from the police union. These 3 Latino officers, They were stealing from the Latino Peace Officers Association. So these pigs were stealing from the pig union. I love it. I love it. I love it. Listen, I am in love with stories like this. Stories like this warms my heart. Stories like this, it just makes me happy to see. Makes me happy to see. I love it. I adore stories like this. In fact, you know, there's a story out of Omaha, Nebraska, about a councilman and 2 police officers and another man. Let's go over this again. Vincent Palermo, Johnny Palermo, Richard Gonzalez, and Jack Olson. They were all arrested, and let me tell you why. Johnny Palermo, Gonzalez, and Olson are accused of defrauding donors of the Latino Peace Officers Association. So they were stealing from the police union. Johnny Palermo and Gonzalez, both of whom both are former Omaha police officers, are also additionally charged with defrauding the association and another nonprofit, Police Athletics for Community Engagement, for their personal benefit. PACE gets at-risk youth involved in sports in an effort to keep them out of gangs. Johnny Palermo is also accused of fraudulently applying for a Paycheck Protection Program loan and interfering in an SA case in which Olson is a suspect. So he was trying to protect the guy as a police officer from a investigation that was involving some heinous crimes, some SA that happened there. And he also defrauded the PPP loan program, like many people did. But this guy is a police officer. In the second indictment, authorities charged Johnny Palermo and Gonzalez with conspiring with Vincent Palermo, a city councilman, to deprive citizens of the councilman's honest services. The attorney's office says the councilman received benefits, including paid trips to Las Vegas. Woo! Viva Las Vegas! Woo! Paid trips to Las Vegas, baby. He was living at large, baby. He was doing it big. And elsewhere. So, homie said, I'm going to Vegas. I'll be like Katy Perry. Heard the Katy Perry song. And she told me, shut up and put your money where your mouth is. Woo! Yo, man. He also did not disclose the benefits he received from the Omaha Glass Pro, a company that he voted to award city contracts. All 4 men could face decades in prison. Decades if convicted. Oh, man. Blue lives matter. Blue lives matter. I gotta know. Are these your men? Because you say that all cops are heroes, and I understand that politicians are definitely involved here, but police officers, you would think they wouldn't do stuff like this, man. ACAB 1312, man. Oh, man. I actually recorded that one because I wanted to put that into an individual video. That's a beautiful story. Latino officers stealing from the Latino Peace Officers Association, and also stealing from the Police Athletics for Community Engagement, a nonprofit that was meant for at-risk youth. Oh man, I just stories like this warms my heart because it totally exposes who cops actually are. Let's get into the next story. This one's just precious. This one's precious. This one here. This one's precious. This one's precious. Let's get into this story here. Let's get into this one. All right, so New York Post. NYPD's dirtiest ex-cop gets into police HQ, snaps social media pic. Wow, it's the audacity for me, man. One of the most corrupt cops in NYC's history brazenly walked into the NYPD's Lower Manhattan headquarters recently and commemorated the visit on social media. Michael Dowd took a picture in the second floor shield unit at one police plaza last week and posted the pic on Instagram on April the 14th. This guy says he's going to post his exit photo. The disgraced cop, now 62, spent 12 years in prison for shaking down drug dealers, pilfering their wares, and then selling the the Solicitors while working on Brooklyn's 75th precinct in the late 80s and early 90s. His illegal activities were laid out in the 2014 documentary The 7-5. Wow. So, police corruption is so rampant, it is so predictable, that this guy is making fun of it. He's joking about it. He thinks it's a funny joke. He thinks it's a funny joke that he had people falsely locked up. And he's going around taking pictures. That's how much of a joke this man is taking what he did. Imagine for a second, one of the most dirtiest cops in New York history walks into a police station and takes a picture just for the lows. Just for the meme. Right? There he is right there. There is his picture. Right? That's amazing. Amazing. You know what? He should be the chief of New York police. I think that if you're gonna be so openly corrupt, right? Just put somebody just put somebody up there. Put the Joker up there. Put Thanos up there. I mean, New York, the freaking NYPD, they are so corrupt anyways, right? So just basically go all in. Go all in. Why do you keep capping NYPD? You know you're corrupt. You know you're corrupt. And this guy taking a picture at NYPD headquarters, it is just appropriate. Because most NYPD cops are trash. Most of them are criminals. So you might as well go ahead and take pictures with all the cops there because let's be honest, they're all criminals. They're all criminals. ACAB 1312. I record that, but I want to make sure I put that in the individual video. Let's get into this one here. Let's get into this one. This story was reported back on March 31st of this year. And I want you guys to see this. I want you to see this. This is an amazing story. This is an amazing story. So, forensic recreations of police abuse lead to landmark legal settlements. So, expert reconstructions that tie together evidence provide a public record of abuse that's harder for cops to deny. In an unprecedented settlement, the city of Philadelphia has agreed to pay $9.25 million to 343 protesters who were injured by police during the 2020 protests for racial justice in response to what happened to George Floyd. The announcement comes on the heels of another landmark settlement reached earlier this month by New York City and the New York City Police Department, which allocated $7 million to more than 300 protesters who were arrested and beaten in 2020 at a demonstration in the Mott Haven neighborhood of the South Bronx. The two settlements are both historic in their size and the implications for future settlements against police violence. Crucially, both cases relied on forensic reconstructions of the events, using video footage and eyewitness accounts to craft detailed timelines of police abuses. Oh man, Amber Lilly, what's going on? Hey, ACAB, what's going on? Phil Collins, Pig's gonna pig, absolutely, 100%. Make sure you guys share the stream. Make sure you press the like button. Happy Monday to you as well, my dearest. So let's get more into the story here. As technology advances and video footage of protests abounds, it's becoming easier for protesters to win class action lawsuits and settlements against cities and their police departments. While few staunch critics of the criminal justice system think the cases will drastically overhaul how policing is done, the record settlements in Philadelphia and Mott Haven demonstrate how powerful forensic reconstructions are for providing public evidence of police abuses, and it's giving victims some form of redress. Work from groups like SITU Research, which conducts visual investigations focused on justice and civil liberties, the Forensic Architecture, a group based in London that does research on state violence, has helped make otherwise esoteric forensic techniques meaningful to ordinary people. So basically, they are reconstructing police misconduct cases. All right, make sure you guys tap the stream. All right, make sure you guys give me some likes and make sure you guys share the stream. Get people to come here. I want people to see this. I want to see what you're paying for. Because all these police misconduct settlements, guess who's paying for that? The taxpayer. The federal taxpayer. The state taxpayer. The local taxpayer. The county taxpayer. It is not. It is, I repeat, it is not the politician or the police union. It is you, the taxpayer, who pays for this nonsense. I want you to see this. You pay for this. It's not right, but it is the reality of what you're facing. The capability, this is actually coming from Luke Largeris, an attorney in a pending lawsuit brought by protesters against Charlotte, North Carolina police officials. And so he says, quote, the capability to recreate and show the sequence of events that SITU demonstrated in this video compilation in our case would be really invaluable in showing courts and juries the actions of police in responding to public protests, end quote. So again, this is reconstructing cases where police officers are lying and claiming that they are not abusing citizens. But when you can reconstruct the whole scenario piece by piece and show a jury that squashes the propaganda, that removes the police officers and the police unions and their lawyers and their legal experts, that removes their ability to shape the narrative, right? That removes the ability for them to shape the narrative. And that's very important. I want people to see that, because stuff like this, you know, it actually, you can actually recreate a lot of the police misconduct stories. And then, granted, the thing that I don't like about it is that it is the taxpayers who pay for this stuff, for the actual settlements. So now, when you can recreate the actual scenario in which police go after a peaceful protester, why then don't you turn around, right, and make the police officer draft legislation, whereas you make the police officer pay for the actual misconduct settlement, since it was the officer who abused a citizen? Nate Will says racism is very real. Absolutely. Amber Lou says share the live with more than 10 friends. Absolutely. Make sure you share the live with more than 10 friends. Absolutely. Because I want people to see this. People have to see this stuff, because if you don't see it, it's not real for you. See, Americans, we have a thing about us. You know, we are very religious, you know, in that we don't need to see Jesus to believe in him, you know, for many Americans, but something that is more down to earth, something that doesn't require the supernatural or God or the Bible or magical powers, you have a hard time believing, even though it happens every day. Even though you pay these police misconduct settlements, there are people out there who will not believe that people were actually, you know, victims. There are some people out there who will not believe they're actually victims. There are some people out there who will not believe they are actually victims. It's just sad. It's just sad. I can't. Someone like that, I can't help or do anything to do anything with. Some people out there will not believe that they can be victims. And the saddest part about that is that they're wrong. It's that not only can you be victims, not only do stories like this show you that everybody has to end up paying for police misconduct, what it definitely exposes is that it's not just that police misconduct is happening, right? It's that it's the taxpayer who pays for it. Why should I have to invest in police misconduct? Why should I pay for that? Why? See, Joe here says, I'm pretty sure if I get mugged, I just call ACAB. Well, if you get mugged, you might want to call the police. You want to know why? They have no constitutional. They have no constitutional duty to even protect you. In fact, there's one case where a guy was getting mugged on a subway in New York. They did nothing, and they were held as heroes. I'll go over that case in just a second. Don't worry. But, you know, stuff like that, it really, really shows you the willingness of people to accept corruption. And people will definitely allow the boot, right? They'll definitely allow the boot, so long as it's a police officer, and so long as the police officer, right, is targeting a certain demographic in the majority. See, that's the whole thing. I want to show you guys that, man. I want to, I want to show that. I want to see that, police. Here we go. I want you to see this. This was made into a story of it's this YouTube channel, right, called Cracked, and they made a whole story, right. Let's go ahead and read some comments here. Joe says the entire roots of the tree are gone. Whether or not there are a few good leaves on the tree doesn't matter. Absolutely, feel you. Phil Collins says the only reason I can think of to call the police over property crime is because of the car insurance. Yeah, I get it. That is true. So this comes from Gothamist. So the police did not protect this man as he's being attacked on the subway, right? And because police don't have a constitutional duty to even protect you, nothing happened to those officers. They watched this man be attacked. They literally watched it. Didn't step in at all. At all. This is basically from 2013. Pretty much 10 years ago. A man was brutally stabbed by Brooklyn subway slasher Maxim Germain 2 years ago. Had his negligence case against the city dismissed in court yesterday, despite the fact that two transit officers had locked themselves in the motorman's car only a few feet from him at the time of the attack. These officers were armed with guns, and the guy was armed with a freaking knife, and they didn't even try to protect this man who's being attacked. German stabbed Joseph Lozito in the face, neck, and hands, and head on the Uptown 3 train in February of 2011 after fatally stabbing four people and injuring 3 others in a 28-hour period. Lozito, a father of 2 and an avid martial arts fan, was able to tackle Gelman and hold him down, and Gelman was eventually arrested by the transit officers. Lozito sued the city, arguing that the police officers had locked themselves in the conductor's car and failed to come to his aid at the time. The city, meanwhile, claimed that the NYPD had no special duty to intervene at the time and that they were in the motorman's car because they believed Gelman had a gun. He didn't. And even if he did, right, armed officers with a gun that are paid with taxpayer dollars should probably intervene. Right? Because a man who is completely unarmed like Lozito here, I'm pretty sure he has a much lower chance if the guy actually had a gun. And Manhattan Supreme Court Justice Margaret Chan has sided with the city, noting that there is no evidence that the cops were aware Lozito was in danger at the time. Well, you had a man who wasn't wearing a mask, right? Fatally stabbed 4 people and 3 others in a 28-hour period. This man's face should have been plastered everywhere. Listen, there were cases of peeping Toms who were instantly caught by the police. Peeping Toms. Peeping Toms. Wow. Cases of peeping Toms. And they showed more interest in that than a man who was taking lives with his freaking knife. Wow. Chan did, however, note the heroism of Lozito's actions. Oh man. Wow. Look. This man had to use his MMA skills to get an attacker off of him because the police wouldn't even help him. And you calling cops heroes. That is just the grossest thing in the world. I want you guys to see this story too. This is an interesting one. It's a very interesting one. Police payouts soaring in the city of Chicago. So everyone loves to talk about Chicago PD, man. let's talk about that, right? The city of Chicago has paid more than $578 million since 2016 in judgments, settlements, and legal fees relating to claims of police misconduct. It is a staggering number, but observers say taxpayers aren't done paying yet. What? Wow. Wow. So when people mention Chicago and all the violence there and all everything else, they don't mention all the corruption that people are just emulating there, right? So I want you to see how easy it is to find this stuff, right? I want you to see this. I want you to see this. Chicago police misconduct settlement. I want you to see how easy it is to find these numbers, right? I want you to see, because let's go down a real clear policy here, right? Chicago settlements cost taxpayers $93 million annually. Annually. $93 million that the Chicago police, right, they're costing taxpayers, because many of them involving the police department. Most of them are. The vast majority of them are. Wow. In 2021, the most recent year available, police settlements and judgments cost Chicago's taxpayers over $100 million, the highest in 11 years. How do you cost taxpayers as one police department because of police misconduct settlements over $100 million? And you want me to call cops heroes? It is the taxpayers paying for this trash, this filth. Chicago to pay $25 million to settle 3 more police misconduct cases. This is back from 2022. $25 million. Chicago taxpayers will pay $25 million to settle 3 police misconduct settlements, claiming Chicago police officers committed a wide range of misconduct. In all, the payments approved Wednesday are the equivalent of 30% of the city's annual $82 million budget to cover the cost of police misconduct lawsuits. I'm going to read that for you again, because that made my head hurt. In all, this is from 2022. This is from September of 2022. In all, Chicago Police Department settlements and the payments approved, right, that were approved on this particular case are the equivalent of 30% of the city's annual $82 million budget to cover the costs of police misconduct lawsuits and settlements. What in the hell is heroic about that? This is what Blue Lives Matter is calling heroic. You having to pay because pigs misbehave. That's heroic to them. You paying because pigs misbehave. The nerve of these people. The nerve of these people. The nerve of these people. The nerve. The audacity. I just... Wow. 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 I don't want to get into that one. I do want to get into this one, though. From ProPublica. Nate Will, how you doing? Thank you for the comments there. Let's get into this story here. I want to get into this story here. Story here comes from ProPublica. As New York pays out millions in police misconduct settlements, lawmakers ask why they keep happening. Well, here's why it keeps happening. Let me just break it out to you, right? It keeps happening because you have qualified immunity. Right? They have qualified immunity. Qualified immunity. Amber Lee, I did not see that. I'm going to go ahead and take a look at that. Let's see. SBO 491. Tennessee. SBO 491. We'll get into that in a second. We'll get into that in a second. We'll get into that in a second, man. So, from ProPublica, as New York pays out millions in police misconduct settlements, lawmakers ask why they keep happening. Decades of costly settlements have prompted some elected officials to question whether the city enables bad policing by aggressively defending against misconduct claims instead of demanding changes to NYPD practices. Yeah, of course. You give them qualified immunity, you give them an endless budget, you pay more in police misconduct settlements than it costs to operate entire units at war. A lot of people don't believe that. A lot of people have a hard time believing that. But I'm telling you, you pay more in police misconduct settlements than it costs to operate entire units at war. Because the NYPD, it's like every other police department across the country, they have an endless budget and they have qualified immunity. So when they don't have to pay for these police misconduct, these misconduct settlements, and it is the taxpayer who pays for it, why would you change? If you had a stolen credit card, you're gonna spend it as if you had a stolen credit card, right? If you got an endless budget, why would you be frugal? You got an endless budget, why would you behave? Nearly 2 decades ago, the New York Police Department drew national headlines for its violent response to protests outside the 2004 Republican National Convention. Officers wrapped protesters in orange mesh netting and shipped them off to a dirty Manhattan pier where they were fingerprinted and held, some for more than 24 hours. The protesters sued, and after years of tense litigation, the city settled with the New York City Civil Liberties Union, or ACLU, then called the largest protest settlement in history, an $18 million payout to resolve claims that the police had violated the civil rights of about 1,800 people. Right? Quote, while no amount of money can undo the damage inflicted by the NYPD's actions during the convention, we hope and expect that this enormous settlement will help to ensure that what happened in 2004 will not happen again. End quote. Christopher Dunn, lead counsel of the NYCLU cases. So he was being hopeful. Make sure you guys tap the screen, man. Give me some likes, man. But in June of 2020, just 6 years after that settlement, history repeated, facing mass demonstrations, this time in the wake of the Minneapolis police execution of George Floyd. The NYPD again became the focus of intense media scrutiny for its bellicose. Yeah, they went after protesters, started beating them up, just going wild, right? They were engaging in actions like kettling, boxing in, basically, and then violently arresting people for utilizing their First Amendment right to protest because they were upset because the police had harmed a citizen. So the way that these pigs responded to the citizens' outrage was to engage in more police misconduct, right? These protesters also sued, and earlier this month, their lawyers announced yet another historic settlement in which each protester would get about $21,500. The total payout would cost taxpayers between $4 million and $6 million. Yes, will you make taxpayers pay for this and not the pigs? Why would the pigs change? Now the durability of that narrative is prompting some lawmakers to question not just the NYPD's actions, but whether the city effectively enables expensive payouts by aggressively defending against charges of police misconduct instead of leveraging its legal might to pressure the NYPD to change its behaviors and practices. Indeed, while the city charter requires the law department to represent the city in every agency thereof, it also says the department should maintain, defend, and establish the interests of the people. So they are defending pigs, and that's why the pigs can't behave. Listen, if you've ever been a younger sibling, if you've ever been a younger sibling, and you got a bigger and stronger older brother who you know is the biggest, baddest person out there, right? Or if you are a woman who has a husband who's big, strong, mixed martial artists. Notice how those women, and notice how when you were as a kid, you would go out and you would start fights, and you would be so confident because you know that person is behind you and always got your back. So why just keep that concept in your head, right? These police officers have the same mindset. When taxpayers have to pay for their misconduct and their disgusting behavior, they have no incentive to change. I mean, what is the point in giving people fines for tickets? Because the idea is to give them an incentive to not do whatever it is that they got a fine for, right? So what is the incentive for these police officers to stop being pigs, right? If every time there's a police misconduct a claim, every time one of them gets arrested, every time the police union gets accused of anything, every time a police officer is accused of a crime, every time a police officer is accused of neglecting their freaking duty, or there is some kind of story in the national press, do you have the city of New York or any other city for that matter, defending these pigs? Why would they change? They wouldn't. They simply wouldn't. They simply wouldn't. They simply wouldn't. Right? I want you to see this too, right? This is amazing. It's amazing. So I want people to see this because this is about Baltimore's gun trace task force. It's very simpler. It's very, very similar to what we saw with the Memphis Police Department and also these specialized units across the country. So Baltimore City is still paying for the gun trace task force's misconduct $6 million settlement to slain driver's family. Wow. Baltimore City officials agreed to pay $6 million to the family of Elbert Davis Sr., who was unalive in 2010 during a high-speed car chase that involved the Gun Trace Task Force, a notorious unit of the Baltimore City Police Department that lied to officials and robbed citizens. So these police officers are part of the Gun Trace Task Force, and they robbed people. They stole money from citizens. Imagine for a second. Just think for a second. You're riding along. You're trying to avoid getting robbed. You see a police officer, and like many Americans, like they incorrectly assume police officers are, safe guys. That's going through your mind. Imagine your shock when the person who's hitting the lick, baby, is the fuzz. Imagine your shock. Imagine. It's crazy. Baltimore City Police Department officers Wayne Jenkins, Ryan Gwynn, and Sean Suter stopped Burley, his friend. No, actually, who's this guy again? Umar Burley, and his friend Brent Matthews over suspected drug activity. But I smelled something. I thought I saw something. The two men feared for their lives and fled while the officers gave chase, according to the lawsuit filed by attorneys for Davis's daughter, Shirley Johnson. Johnson's father passed away in the hospital just a few hours later. Kane was critically wounded but survived the accident. She passed away 2 years later. Wow. In 2017, 7 years after the car crash that unalived Davis Sr., a Department of Justice investigation revealed that the police planted heroin, wow, in Burley's car after the crash and after the two men fled on foot. So, basically, this was gang activity from the police. When you rob people, you plant evidence on people. First of all, how do you plant heroin if you didn't already have it on you? Riddle me that, Batman. How do you plant something that you don't already have on you and don't have on you in a large quantity so that you can plant it on other people? Because this case wasn't just about one guy. It's about multiple people. They found a pattern of this stuff. See, it was a pattern of practice, as the DOJ would say. A pattern of practice, okay? So, the cops had heroin on them. Had all this stuff on them. Do those cops do that? Do those substances? Do those cops get them high? I'm just curious. See, doing stuff like that, now that leads me to other questions. What are those cops doing? What do those cops do in their off hours? Have those cops been drug tested? Why are you riding around with that kind of substance to even plant on someone? How did you get it? Did you go into the evidence room? See, this is why a lot of people who are trolls, who are undercover police officers, or their family members, or people who are political activists from the Democratic Party or the Republican Party, this is why they can't stand me. Because, see, I ask questions like that. See, questions like that is the difference between a police officer, just getting slapped with a simple misconduct case and there be a police misconduct settlement, to me having a police officer indicted. Because, see, I've had police officers indicted because I ask questions like that. I would call the FBI and say, hey, here's something else you should think about. Or I would contact the DOJ and I would say, hey, here's something else that you should consider about that case. See, now that I'm reading this story, I'm going to call the freaking DOJ. I'm going to ask those questions. Have you checked on that? And if you say that you have, I'm going to do a FOIA request. I want to see if you've actually covered your entire grounds. Because this kind of case is public record. I want to know if you've done your due diligence. I want these officers hit for every single crime that you can hit them for, baby. Every crime. All of it. I want them to never come out of prison. You falsely accuse people of stuff. You plant stuff on people. You deserve life in prison if you are a police officer doing that stuff. ACAB 1312. See? Now you see why so many people can't stand me and what I do. It's also why a lot of you love me. See, I'm loved for the exact same reason that I'm hated. I'm thorough. I'm loved for the exact same reason that I'm hated. As you can see. As you can see. As you can clearly see. Let's get into this. The story comes from 48 Hills, the independent San Francisco news. I want to cover more independent news content. Legal settlements for police abuse have cost San Francisco more than $20 million since 2019. What? Imagine what you can do with $20 million. $20 million could have helped so many American families. $20 million could have helped the California taxpayers with some of these high taxes. $20 million could have helped a lot of homeless people get off the streets. $20 million could have absolutely helped homeless veterans. But instead, the citizens of San Francisco and California are paying $20 million in pig misconduct. Wow. While Mayor London Breed goes all in on law enforcement and District Attorney Brooke Jenkins moves to dismiss charges against a cop who likes to unalive people, the Board of Supervisors is about to approve a payout of $1.9 million to settle a claim by Francisco Valle, who claims that Officer Paul Morgado, who has past misconduct problems, shot him without reason in 2017. This man survived. Right? That is the latest in a long series of expensive settlements related to bad behavior by the cops. Something that the mayor never mentions when she talks about increasing the police budget. So the mayor here, all right, one of these so-called people of color, you see, right? Mayor Breed wants more money for the cops, but bad behavior is costing the city a fortune. So you want more money for the police who are costing the taxpayers money. Instead of demanding an end to qualified immunity, instead of demanding accountability, instead of demanding that the police unions be held to account for all their misconduct, for all their cover-ups, for all their greedy, grimy, swine-like pig behavior. You want to not only hire more police officers to abuse citizens, particularly black people. Let's keep it a buck. And the dark-skinned Latinos, no. The dark-skinned Mexicans that Nuri Martinez and the LA City Council spoke about. It's not just the white Hispanics. It's the dark ones you target because they have a proximity to black people. You hire more of these law enforcement officers to abuse more black people and more citizens and more citizens by default, but you won't demand that the pigs change. Wow. In 2019, so hold on. Since 2019 alone, the taxpayers have forked over more than $20 million to settle police abuse cases, money that the city badly needs right now. Nationwide, that total over the past decade has been more than $3 billion. Police misconduct settlements have cost taxpayers over $3.2 billion in settlements. And that was reported last year. So if that was last year, right? If that was last year, what is it right now? How much has that number crept up since, let's say, 2013, 10 years ago? How much has that number crept up since then? How much has that number crept up since then? Let's actually look at this article here from the crime report, from the crimereport.org, your criminal justice network. And let's see what this last article was referencing. Police misconduct cost taxpayers over $3.2 billion in settlements. Lawsuits to settle allegations of police misconduct by more than 7,600 officers from around the country have amounted to more than $3.2 billion over the past decade. So that's from 2012 until 2022, more than $3.2 billion nationally. The alleged misconduct led to nearly 40,000 payouts to resolve lawsuits and claims of wrongdoing at 25 of the nation's largest police and sheriff's departments between 2010 and 2020. More than 1,200 officers in the department surveyed have been subject of at least 5 payouts. More than 200 had 10 or more. In Chicago, for example, officers who were subject to more than one pay claim accounted for more than $380 million of the nearly $528 million in payments in that city. So it's the problem officers they refuse to get rid of that are keep costing taxpayers all this money. They keep asking, how do we change this? You're seeing it. Get rid of the pigs. Actually cause some accountability. Get rid of qualified immunity and make the pigs pay for it. But you won't do that. You won't do that. A typical payout for cases involving officers with multiple claims ranging from illegal search to and seizure to excessive force was $10,000 higher than those involving other officers. Few cities or counties track claims by the names of the officers involved, meaning that officials may be unaware of officers whose alleged misconduct is repeatedly costing taxpayers. While multi-million-dollar settlements regarding allegations of police misconduct often generate headlines, the median average for the payouts is $17,500 as of the reporting of this article. And most cases are resolved with little to no publicity. So most of these cases you don't even know about. New York, Chicago, and Los Angeles accounted for the bulk of the overall payouts, documented at more than $2.5 billion. New York, Chicago, and Los Angeles. You know what I find weird about those cities? Let's go look up something. I want to go see something real quick. Los Angeles, blue state. Los Angeles is a blue state. It's a blue state, yeah? Okay, wait. Chicago, blue state. Wait a minute. It is a blue state. Yeah, I was thinking. So, New York, we know is a blue state. So, wait a minute. Wait a minute. You mean to tell me that these worst cases are happening in blue states, the most expensive cases? But I thought liberals and Democrats said that their cities don't have police misconduct, that they're somehow better in the red states. That's strange. So then why do you have so much police misconduct? Why do you have billions of dollars that I'm paying, that taxpayers are paying? Why do we have this much money then? Why? You claim that we don't have money for reparations. Right? You claim you don't have money for reparations. And yet you're paying billions of dollars for pig behavior. I gotta say, I think you have the money and you hired the pigs to oppress the people who you are refusing to pay. I'll say that for you again. I think you have the money for reparations. It's just that you hired the police to oppress black people, the black descendants of American slaves. So that's why you don't want to pay reparations, because that would defeat the purpose of you funding the police. ACAB 1312. You gotta love it, right? You gotta love it. You gotta love it. You gotta love it. I want to go back over this one because this is funny to me. This is hilarious. I want to go back over this one because a lot of people miss this, so I want to go back over this one. This is kind of funny. So, police officers, once again, I went over this earlier. Police officers wonder why we call them pigs. Well, here's why. 80% of police officers are overweight, according to the FBI. Yeah, 80%. 8 out of 10 officers. This is reported back in 2014. That problem got worse. The FBI came out and said, listen, man, y'all having kibbles and bits. Y'all having snackaronis. Y'all having the pizza rolls. Hot Pockets, Chili's, baby back ribs. Y'all was like Dave Chappelle in that one skit. You got any more of them Krispy Kreme donuts? Oh, Lord. They ate everything, all right? They ate everything. Everything. I mean, everything. According to the FBI, they released a new stat that says that 8 out of every 10 cops are overweight. Man. Oh, man. 8 out of every 10 cops is a starving Marvin, man. I tell you. And they wonder why we call them pigs. They have the nerve and the audacity to wonder why we call them pigs. Y'all are more overweight than stay-at-home moms. I know stay-at-home moms who are in better shape, who's had multiple children, who are in better shape than the average cop. The average cop is built like a hand grenade. The average cop, the average cop is not built like a Coke bottle. They built like a Coke can. Just round, baby. Just round. How is it that you got cops who are so upset at being called pigs when you refuse to lose weight so that your body constitution doesn't match that of a pig? I mean, you can't get mad at people for saying that you look like oinkers, right? When I can go look at a pig and I say, what does a pig and a police officer have in common? Well, they're not human. They are both not in the human category. One is human and one's not. One is a livestock and one isn't. But they're both very much round. So when I can make that easy comparison, according to the FBI, you can't get mad, Blue Lives Matter. Don't get mad. Get a treadmill, okay? What y'all hungry self? ACAB 1312. Yo, hungry self. Don't get mad at somebody. Don't you call me no pig. Well, don't be looking like one then. Don't be looking like one then. You can't get mad at me for that. Don't get mad at me. Anyways, guys, it's going to be it for me today, man. Thank you so much for joining me. If you guys like this kind of live content format, let me know. Until next time, horns up. Peace out. Good night. Good luck. Thank you, Amber Lily, for joining me. Truth Comedy Bob, Dread Pirate Wesley, Phil Collins, Nate Will, all of you, Joe, thank you for joining me. Until Vegan Villain, thank you for joining me. Until next time, horns up, peace out. Good night, good luck, ACAB 1312.